What does your bespoke self-care package look like?
You don't go around seeing my face in Westfield.
I felt really stupid when I was doing the lives.
Yeah. But then whilst you're pregnant with your baby, you did something really major.
It will give birth to something beautiful even when you don't think it's going to.
Welcome to Reservations for Two, the podcast dedicated to your journey towards wellness and self-improvement. I'm Ruth, and in each episode we'll embark on a meaningful conversation exploring strategies, stories and insights that can empower you to lead a happier, healthier and more fulfilling life. So grab a seat and let's dive into this journey of self-discovery together.
A sense of well-being and wellness is something that we all have to deal with on a day-to-day, whether it be your physical, your mental, your emotional, your internal. It's a journey that we're all going through. Now, I have a reservation today with somebody who can tell me about their journey and somebody who gets paid to tell others about theirs. So join me for my reservation. Welcome back to Reservations for Two. Today I am in the Blake room at the Ivy Soho Brasserie with the beautiful Tiwa King joining me for a conversation about well-being. Welcome to Reservations for Two. Today I am joined by the beautiful Tiwa King, singer, two-time TEDx speaker, founder of Beyond a Song and wellbeing consultant. Thank you for joining me, sister.
You're welcome.
Oh, I'm so happy you're here.
Me too.
And I cannot wait for this conversation. The title of this episode is called Why Wellbeing? And I think when you think about the world of wellness and wellbeing, I think sometimes it's hard for people to decipher the two. What would you say wellbeing means to you?
I was just thinking about if I had a penny for the amount of times I've been asked that question. We'd be doing this episode in Hawaii on the beach.
With a mimosa.
Yeah, that's right. I'd have a Baileys.
Okay.
What does it mean? It literally is in the word. It's about your well-being.
Yeah.
And it's about the different sides of your being that come together to make you live a happy and fulfilled life. For some people, the focus on their well-being is their psychological, their mental, their physical, and their spiritual, which is most people, to be honest. And it's about bringing those worlds together and giving you tools to basically live your best life and make sure that you're living a life that is fulfilling and purposeful.
Yeah, and you do this on a professional platform. So companies actually pay you to come in and to coach them and to help them figure out this side of their business, especially for their employees. But when you take off the professional hat, how is your well-being doing?
Oh, that is
Was that a good question?
Okay, let's just be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's had a knock on the last few weeks.
Oh no.
Yeah, I've been going through some things like everybody does, and it's been tested. But actually, when you're a wellbeing consultant, you do sit there and think, I know this. Yeah. I know all the theory. I should be okay. But I think maybe it's a great time to pause and mention. Sometimes you're not okay, and everyone goes through things, and it's about figuring out how to get through. I think sometimes when you're thinking about well-being, we're always thinking about the end result. What am I going to look like after this trial? What am I going to look like after my issues? But actually, the focus of well-being should be in the interim. What am I doing in the meantime? How am I going to get through the days, the minutes, the weeks? And so that's where I'm at right now. I'm at a well enough place, but definitely thinking, okay, what do I do to make myself feel really great right here and now?
Yeah, are you taking it in kind of like small chunks, as in I am not feeling 100,000% overall, however, I'm taking it a day at a time, a second at a time. Is that your approach to it?
Absolutely. One of the things I've learned about well-being is depending on what you're actually going through, you have to take it in chunks.
Yeah.
And some people's chunks looks like a week. Some people, they're going through something really heavy and it looks like minute by minute. So the spiritual side of me says, okay, I've got grace per day, which means I have to check how I use it. Yeah. So I check what I'm using my energy on. and what I'm spending my energy on, who I'm spending it on, and I ration it accordingly. I'm a mum of a very young son who's a ball of energy. You know, I own my own business. There's so many different parts of my life. I'm a friend, I'm a sister. So getting through that and making sure that I'm giving my energy to accordingly is really important.
Which can be so hard sometimes as well.
It's hard because my son is not a respecter of my energy and time and well-being.
And your family.
Yeah, nobody is.
And nobody cares what you're going through.
No.
They just expect you to show up. And I think maybe, especially like in your case, where it is something that you do on a professional side, I think it might just be easy for people to look at you and be like, okay, well, she's okay, she's fine because she does this.
Yeah, I think I've had that since I was young, though. I've always been, you know, the strong friend and the one who's very able to handle things. And even now, actually, my family mentioned last week, you know, you never look like you're going through stuff. I mean, of course, that has its pros, but truly, I've learned that I have to be the master of my own well-being. I have to know what works. I have to know how to get through it. And I have to take things a step at a time. Sometimes that's all you can do.
It's so funny because I feel like I relate to that so heavy, where you just are looked at, or like you're perceived as the one who has it together. So I was literally speaking to my husband yesterday, and I was just like, why is it that everyone just feels like I have it together? Because I don't. I'm genuinely, I'm losing it. Like, as in, I'm tearing at the Sims. As in, just one prick and it's finished. It can tear the whole cloth. And it is funny when people perceive you as that, because then you kind of take that responsibility on your head and you tell yourself, you know, I'm actually not allowed to have a down day, even though you're actually having a down day. And my kind of version of when I think about well-being and wellness, I've said it before, that I genuinely think it's that equilibrium state, or it's that balance between your emotional, your physical, your mental, your internal stability, and just trying to find out what that balance looks like pertaining to the current situation, which can be really, really hard. And then you then put on top of it the layer of having to show up to actually look like you have it figured out, which can be so, so hard. So when you kind of speak about well-being and you're advising people, what is it that you're advising people that perhaps you could take for yourself?
Oh, that's a nice question again. A massive one is taking it a step at a time. Put one foot in front of the other. Don't try and run and don't try and fly. Just focus on the right now, on what you need. Those little steps will add up to the big steps, and often the little steps are the big steps. So it's just making people realize that this finished, polished version that you think you need to be, let go of that idea and focus on right now. And what is it? Is it drinking water so your brain's functioning at its optimum level? Is it singing? Is it doing something you love, which releases the chemicals in your body so that you feel good? Is it spending time with people that actually make you feel really energized rather than drain you? Is it changing your job? Is it how you behave when you get to work? Are you not authentic anymore? And is that adding to the stress you feel when you get home? Is it doing certain assessments to realize how your brain works? Are certain things going undiagnosed in your life that are creating stress for you and your immediate loved ones? Is it working out? So there's so many things, but it's about having that conversation first to say, who are you? What do you love? What leads your life right now? Where do you feel fulfilled, and where don't you feel fulfilled? And then after we ask those questions, then we open it up.
So who are you?
Oh my goodness, these questions today! Who am I? I am.
I feel like that hit you like a curveball.
I wasn't expecting that, and
so
I'm feeling it a bit blindsided because you did not prepare me.
No, don't. We are going deep. So who are you?
I love it. Who am I? Let me take a second.
Okay. Take all the second you need.
How are you?
Hi.
You ready to order?
Yes, please.
Yes.
You can go for
Okay, I'm going to have the strawberry and mint martini, please. And for my main, can I please have the warm crispy duck salad?
Duck salad, perfect.
Actually, I've changed my mind. Can I have the truffle chicken Milanese, please?
Truffle chicken, Milanese.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
May I have the salmon avocado maki sushi roll, please?
Sushi.
And then the pomelo spritz.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I'm a child of God. And that leads everything I do, even my professional life. I'm led by purpose. And that flows into all my other roles, like being a mum, being a wellbeing consultant, being a singer, being a speaker, and the rest. And I'm led by wanting to help people overcome their struggles and making sure people are authentically being who they are so that they can live their best lives. That is the core of me.
Yeah.
That's who I am, and that's what I do.
Do you feel like that's who you've always been? Or do you feel like you've had to go through a journey together?
I think that I'm a big believer in you are born great. You're born with everything that you need to be. But depending on your circumstance, your environment and life, sometimes you're not always that version of yourself.
100%.
So who I am now isn't necessarily who I'm going to be in 10, 15 years. But yeah, I believe that I'm really on my way. I believe that I'm the right version I need to be right now to be able to do what I'm meant to be doing.
Yeah. And when you've reached, I guess, when you've reached those points of, because again, perhaps maybe some backstory is that myself, and I always say my beautiful sister, and I think sister's a term of endearment that a lot of people use nowadays, but when I'm saying sister, this is really actually sister, like as in she's watched me grow from yay high, and I guess the privilege of that is I have seen different versions of you, and I genuinely remember growing up thinking like, oh my God, you were just this, not where you still are, but this like gorgeous big sister, and you and my big sister used to like do things that I really wanted to come to, and you guys were so cool, and I just was never allowed to come, and you guys just didn't want me to be around, and it's fine, because we're here now, we made it. But I just remember again growing up seeing different versions of you, and you've now come into this version of you where you are a mum, you're a wellbeing consultant, you are out there living in your truth and in your purpose. And when I was saying to you before that, has it been a journey for you to get here, or do you always feel like you were kind of here? And you were saying that growing up you believe that you're kind of born with greatness. Is it that you know that you have that greatness and you hone in on it, or you know that you have that greatness and you try and figure it out? Like, what has been your viewpoint of that?
That, you know what, you were talking and I thought, oh, no, that sounded so cliche, because that's not true. But what I wanted to know, this is how I would put it, and I can only use my experience. There have been moments where absolutely not, I've not thought I'm this person, and again, that leads the work I do, because that wasn't true. It's because of the things that you go through that make you think you are who you are at the time. I don't remember what I thought when I was 0 years old or a newborn baby. But what I know growing up is I do remember snippets. Like I remember when we went to church together, we used to have something called like the kids' harvest. And I remember how I'd feel when I sang. Just little moments. I remember how I felt when someone encouraged me. I was really, really scared of singing. People didn't realize I was really scared. And then encouragement, how I'd feel afterwards. Or when at the time our, what do they call it? Like a head teacher? What do they call it?
A Sunday school teacher.
That's it, our Sunday school head teacher. when he pushed me to do certain things, I remember how I felt. So I don't think I knew. I have amazing parents that encouraged me. But I don't think I knew anything. And I think I was quite scared of those snippets that I felt. And then what's happened as I've got older is I think the biggest thing for me was when I was made redundant. And I just had my baby, and it was like a horrible experience. And that was like a wake-up call.
Oh my God.
Because I was
imagine.
like...
That must have been really scary.
It was scary. It was scary because it's not like I was having a great time at work, but it was a safety net. And it's who I thought I was at the time. So then for it to be almost ripped away, and you're thinking the future of this, what am I going to do? That, for me, that was my moment. And I think most people have these moments of, okay, who am I and what am I going to do right now? Am I going to settle for that life that I think is me because it's safe? Or am I going to stay true to kind of that calling inside that's telling me that I can do something else and I can do more than what I'm doing?
And then you then went from... I guess that it's so funny that you said that, because then you then went from that position of something really scary, something that perhaps maybe messed with your mental. And then when we talk about even your spiritual well-being, I'm sure it had a knock-on effect on that, because naturally when things happen, we're like, hello God, hi, especially when you're someone who is a, should I say an active Christian, or you're active in your faith. You put a lot on, hi, you're the master of my life, hi, what's going on? And then something happens. I'm sure that messes with kind of where you are spiritually, and then that then seeps into other areas of your life. So in that time, did you feel like it kind of had a knock-on effect on your mental, your physical, because it had an effect on your financial?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was a crazy time.
Yeah.
You know what it's like being on mat pay. So when you're on mat pay and you're down to the, you know, the last
nitty-gritty.
Yeah, you're down to the
crumbs.
bottom, exactly, and you're already surviving on that. I think it already changes how you think. But after being made redundant, it was a very strange feeling, because I felt a bit rejected and neglected by the company.
Yeah.
Strange, like a weird abandonment that I didn't think I would, and it made me think, okay, what else am I here to do? It messed with everything. It messed with my confidence. At the time as well, I didn't know I was suffering from postnatal depression.
Wow.
So I thought I was just sad, but there were so many things at play that was going on. And I remember feeling like lower than low.
Yeah.
Knowing that I didn't know where I was going. And then all of a sudden I didn't feel like I was worth going to places. It was very strange.
Yeah.
Lots of confidence and self-esteem issues happened at that moment. But luckily it didn't last long enough for me to be blindsided by it and for it to kind of
and I think that's what happens often than not, like where people get blindsided by it and consumed by it. And it's so funny because I'm hearing you speak, but I'm like, okay, so that happened after you had your baby, but then whilst you were pregnant with your baby, you did something really major, which was your first TED Talk.
My second one.
Your second TED Talk.
Yeah.
Her second TED Talk. And that is, for some people, they'd look at that and be like, okay, that's really amazing. Yeah. But then you're then going through this really difficult time. How did you deal with that? Well-being wise, what toll did it take on you?
I think one of the things I like to tell people now is that two truths can coexist at the same time.
100%. That's my new favourite saying, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
Two things can coexist at the same time.
Yeah, I've been saying it like every day for the past week.
Because it makes you sound really clever. Like, did you know that two things can exist at the same
and
time?
And everyone's like, facts.
Yeah,
that's right.
I hear that. And you tell me,
So and I think that was my reality then. Not feeling very great. My pregnancy was actually quite smooth. I was sick for a lot of it, but it was quite smooth. And I remember in that moment, I thought, oh goodness, I'm not good enough to do this. Oh, is it going to be as good as the first one? But I think I've mastered just pushing myself to do stuff. So that was what it was in that moment. It was just getting up and doing it.
Amazing, thank you. Wonderful, thank you so much.
Enjoy it.
Oh wow, the smoke.
Yummy.
Yummy.
Can we dig in?
Thank you, of course we can dig in. Thank you so much. So how was the TEDx experience? I really want to know about that.
Which one, first or second?
Both, because again, sorry just to cut you, but I remember when we was talking and you were saying that I think your first TEDx was, you was going through a really tough time.
Yeah.
How was that?
Tough.
Yeah.
It was tough, I was going through some stuff back then, and it felt like it was such a big deal to do the TEDx, and so doing it.
It is.
Yeah, amongst that time, it was a bit crazy. And I remember like crying before I was going on the stage and thinking, oh no, I don't know if I can do this. But then I was thinking, oh my goodness, imagine how many people out there are just like me, like going through something crazy and like need me to kind of just go out there and be myself. And that's when I realized that there's so much power in your truth, you know. There's so much power in just getting up and being you and being authentic. And that's what people connect with. They connect with the truth. So that was the first one, and it was such an amazing experience. It was so good. And then the second one was different because I was pregnant. But again, afterwards, it just felt incredible. Yeah. It's funny though when you aspire to something, how you feel afterwards. Because I wasn't deflated, but it was kind of like, oh, is that it afterwards?
Yeah.
But I think even now when people talk about it and people ask me, I think it's really amazing and it's humbling to do something like that, but also something to look back on and be like, I did this, which means I can do even more.
100%.
Yeah.
And again, just from what I know of you as well, is that it's not like you set out to say, I wanted to do this amazing thing.
No.
It literally just happened whilst you were dealing with something, and you managed to maintain a sense of stability mentally. But then, I guess, going further down the line, babies come, you're now dealing with a little bit, is it right to say a little bit? But you're dealing with postnatal.
I don't know what the correct terminology is, but that's what it was.
You're dealing with postnatal. Obviously we know that it's a very sensitive thing and so many people deal with it in so many different ways and to so many different extents. But in your personal experience, with knowing everything that you do know about maintaining your well-being, how did you go through that?
First of all, I didn't know then. I didn't know. We're talking a few years ago now.
Yeah.
So I didn't know then. And actually, I didn't know I suffered from postnatal depression until afterwards.
Until after you come out the other side? Really?
Yeah, I started therapy. And it was in that conversation, I was like, do you realise that all the symptoms that you've told me and everything that you were going through was
postnatal?
And I was
That's
like,
serious.
This makes so much sense now.
Yeah.
So it was a lot harder not having that knowledge, because you just think, you're a new mum, you should be great, you should be so happy, you need to get on with it, you know, you should be enjoying this, you should be enjoying breastfeeding, you should enjoy the whole experience. And it was very different for me.
You're literally speaking to my very soul, and I know that you are, just because we've had these conversations where, like, I'm very much in new mum phase, and some days are really amazing and I like energy is on 1,000 and other days are like in the gutter. In the ghetto, in the deepest part, like the part that's around the corner that they don't show you on the adverts.
Yeah.
And it's so hard, especially when now your well-being is so essential for another person's existence. It's hard. How did you pull through that? I feel like I've asked you, how did you pull through like 3,000 times? It's
really powerful when another life depends on you.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's that tiny bit easier to get up and do it. When you have a little life that's depending on you literally for everything, and food and drink and survival, you do it. And I think one thing I did do was I spent a lot of time with my child then. Like, I'd go out, go to parks and go for walks, and remember that even though I was feeling some type of way, it was such a blessing what I was going through as well. And that helped me. And also being busy. Yeah. After a while, I did start going out. It wasn't such a bother to get the pram out and do stuff. And I realised that when I did go out, I felt better. And it wasn't something, if I'm honest, I was talking about much with my family or friends. But the chosen few that I did, they were just like, you're amazing, you can do it.
Yeah.
And those little doses of encouragement helped.
Yeah. And I think one thing that you taught me, just even from when we were speaking before, you was telling me that you are being extremely conscious about what you're taking in right now, and you're reading better, you're being more aware of what you're listening to, what you're looking at. And back then, it was a couple of weeks ago, you were saying that was having a really positive effect on your well-being and how your outlook is and how you're feeling about self. And now, I guess, when I've then said to you, how are you feeling? And you're saying you're not at a 10. What is different from then to now?
Life has happened.
Yeah.
And I love talking about this part of well-being, because everything is great until something comes and knocks you.
Yeah. It's so funny, because the last time we literally said, then what happens if something knocks you? And we were like, will you just go again? But it can really be hard to just go again.
Yeah. And this is why I do what I do. This is why I talk about what I talk about, because that is life every day for someone.
Yeah.
Something is knocking them. Something is happening, and they have to show up to work or be a mum or be a partner when they're not great and they don't know how to be great. I think actually that is the importance of making sure that you have filled yourself up with the good stuff.
Yeah.
So that when you can't do it as much, because I haven't been able to do it as much now, that's still what's powering me. So the way I think of it is putting fuel into a car.
Yeah.
If I filled up the tank, then I'm going to keep going for a few hundred miles.
Yeah.
And if I haven't filled up the tank, then what's it going on? It's running on empty, and it's much worse if I even get to move at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's so important to constantly know what you're consuming and fill yourself up with the good stuff, so that when you're going through stuff, that is what is powering you through.
Yeah.
Because that's when you need it the most.
But then when you are going through things and you are, I guess, relying on that that version of yourself that was kind of indulging in all this good information and all this inspiring stuff, but then what happens if that part of you doesn't show up because the stuff that you are going through is just so consuming? Because that does happen, especially when you're thinking about, so even just for myself, especially when you're thinking about, I'm really conscious on how I'm feeling. Like that's my main drive for everything. And it's funny because I always then say feelings are fleeting, and that shouldn't be your main drive, but I'm such a feelings person, and how I feel, and is this good for me? Is this making me feel good? Is this helping me emotionally, mentally, and all these things? However, there are those days when no matter how much you've read, no matter how much you've listened to, life just lifes. And I guess this is the part where companies then pay you to come in and help their employees deal with the life outside so that they could be the best version of themselves in that environment. But then also life is happening to you. So in terms of practical things of getting through what you are dealing with, what does that look like? Does it look like writing? Does it look like praying? Does it look like singing? Because that's what you love to do. Like, what does that look like for you?
For me personally, it looks like all of the things that you mentioned.
Yeah.
But most importantly, like I said before, it's knowing that there's no pressure for me to reach that whatever final thing we're thinking about.
Yeah.
Taking each day step by step. Like knowing that, okay, I have today and it's about getting through today. And how do I do that? It's the little things, Ruth. So it's like singing. Doing something that you love actually releases those feel-good chemicals. People think it's just, people say it, but it's really important to do things that you enjoy. Even if that's housework. If you're the girl that likes cleaning do the little things that don't require a lot of brain energy, but you can do it because that releases chemicals in your body and it allows you to feel good and actually get through the day. It might be reading. It might be journaling. For me, journaling is a massive thing. I love being able to sit down, space, time, quiet. I had to do that the other day. I just booked a hotel.
Yeah.
Just booked
It's
a
so
hotel.
important.
Yeah, booked a hotel and went
It's
there.
so funny that people think, when you talk about self-care, people think face masks and candles. But it's so much more bigger than that. It's literally about taking time to indulge in something that genuinely is taking care of you, physically, emotionally, mentally. It can even be financially, however you need to be taken care of.
And it's different for everyone.
And it's so different for everyone. And I think even when you're saying that, you know, you booked a hotel the other day, you booked a space for yourself to go away for. And I think some people kind of wait to be like, oh, you know, I need to go somewhere like that with someone, or I need to wait for other people to be available. I need to wait for someone to be available to go out, to have dinner. Literally doing something for yourself can impact your well-being to 1,000 miles.
Yeah, you have to realize, what does your bespoke self-care package look like?
Oh,
what does that look like?
Can you say that again?
What does your bespoke self-care package look like?
I want to buy one of those.
That's right. And you're the only person that can design it.
Yeah.
What did that weekend look like for me? It meant going to a hotel, being in my own space, being on my own. I took myself out to eat. I went to go and watch the Barbie movie by myself. I came back, took myself to dinner, then took myself to a spa, hot tub, all by myself. Couples were surrounding me, but hey, you know, we
are
did.
where we are. It's fun.
Exactly. It was great. Took myself to dinner and then went back home. I know what fills me up. For some person, that might be a nightmare. But what I do encourage everyone, though, is to try it out. Try stuff on.
Yeah.
Try figuring out, okay, what part of my alone time do I look like? Do I like, It might not be taking myself out to lunch, but maybe it's sitting at home in your room for an hour, journaling, listening to music, having some time with your thoughts. So yeah, think about, what does your bespoke self-care package look like? What do you love? What fills you up? What makes you feel good?
And do it unapologetically.
And do it yourself.
Yeah.
Don't wait for anyone to do it for you.
It's so funny because, again, like you talk about doing something for yourself and doing something that, again, I guess perhaps is good for yourself. But when you are a mum, when you are a sister, when you do have all these other external responsibilities, sometimes doing stuff for yourself can feel very guilty and very self-indulgent a word?
Yeah, you feel selfish.
Yeah, very selfish. But you also need that to be able to be who you are in these different spaces. And I think perhaps maybe that's just not what's championed enough, that you actually, it's at times it's a necessity for you to be selfish to an extent.
Yeah, and I think that is the wrong word. I think people think focusing on yourself is selfish. I think there's a healthy amount of it that every single human needs to be able to perform at their optimum. Yeah. And that's not only for women, that's for men too. That's for everybody. It's even for little kids. Yeah. My 4-year-old son runs to the bedroom when he's had enough of everybody. No, seriously, to have his own time. Yeah. I mean, goodness me, it's like he's going on 16. But you know what I mean? Every single person needs that. And I think as we get older, we lose ourselves in our roles and forget what we need to do to look after ourselves. But at the end of the day, this is the way I think about it too. What version of me is everyone else getting because I'm not looking after myself?
Yeah.
Are they getting the best of me? Are they getting the 50% me? Are they getting the 20% me? So it's important to do those things as regularly as you can. For me, that's not very regular. But as regularly as you can, so that you're pouring into yourself so you can be the best version of yourself for everyone as well.
And would you say, like, in your time of, I guess, trying to figure out this new world of motherhood, being an entrepreneur, trying to figure, is that where Beyond the Song came in?
So Beyond the Song came out. I was made redundant. And I had this really strong impression on me to start doing Instagram lives.
Okay.
So I started doing them. I think this was during COVID, and groups of women started gathering together, and the numbers started climbing, and they were becoming really powerful. And people started DMing me, telling me what those lives were doing for them. And on one of those lives, one of the ladies were like, "I need this properly. Like, can we talk about this off the screen?" And all the other ladies were like, "Yeah," and that's how Beyond the Song started.
Oh my God, that is so sweet.
So that one session then turned into I think a 6 or 7 week program that I called the running party, and it was like teaching you how to run. And so basically doing what you want to do in life and kind of going for it. And that's what happened. And after I did it and hearing what people did from it, people started their own platforms, people were able to like deal with the loss of their child. It was just incredible stuff. Exciting. And I realized, why should it only be for us here? This needs to be in workplaces. And that's how it started.
That's so, and it's amazing that you managed to birth something, I guess, from a period of uncertainty. Yeah. Even if you wasn't personally going through something, COVID was happening, and you managed to birth something from that period. And I guess maybe that speaks to maybe where your wellness and your well-being was at the time, that even though you were looking at it as though like this is really bleak and bad, you still had the foresight, you still had the creativity, I guess, you were still innovative enough to say, do you know what, something needs to be born from this. And that is magical in itself. And I think perhaps maybe a part of well-being, something that I've learned more so recently than none, is that in as many times as you tell yourself what you don't have, you should also tell yourself what you do have. And in as many times as you told yourself what you haven't done and what you can't do, you need to tell yourself what you can do.
Let me pause you for 1 second, because I was just thinking of something. I felt really stupid when I was doing the lives.
Yeah.
I think someone needs to hear this somewhere.
Yeah.
I felt really, really stupid. Yeah. After I did the first live, I literally ran out of the house and cried.
Oh no.
I felt so embarrassed. No. The Wi-Fi kind of was shambolic, and I felt like such a failure, and I thought like, why should I be doing this anyway?
Oh no.
That one live has gone on to me creating Beyond the Song, a social enterprise.
Yeah.
Getting lots of funding, winning awards. I'm currently in Westfield at the moment. Yeah. On this like mini thing. My face is
Don't call it mini, because it's actually pretty amazing. I mean, you don't go around seeing my face in Westfield.
Okay, you know
so
what we'll do?
It's a big deal.
We'll get it on screen. Cue the Westfield image. Yeah, we'll edit it and put it in, right? Yeah. Guys, I hope you're seeing this. So you should be seeing it now and hearing me in the background. Yeah. Yes, that's me. Have short hair. But literally, that all came from me doing what I love. Yeah. And I just want to tell someone, like, you might be in the worst moment. You might be in the worst moment of your life.
Yeah.
Focus on what makes you you, doing what you do, and something beautiful will come from it. That's what happened to me.
Yeah.
So Beyond the Song is very special to me for that reason. Our like one-liner is creating a symphony of best selves, because we use music and well-being and we merge them together. But yeah, it came from a very obviously hard period, but it's given birth to something really beautiful.
Yeah.
So well-being, that's why it's so important, because it will give birth to something beautiful even when you don't think it's going to.
Yeah. And it does. It always shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even when you feel like you're not showing up, there's a sense of you that almost shows up for you. And again, it's so important, I guess, when you are talking about your well-being, you are trying to find that level of stability and equilibrium between all these different facets of your life, to also take note of. My cousin messaged me the other day and she was like, she's really down. And I was like, okay, before we talk about it, I want you to write down a list of 3 things that you are super grateful for this month, and then we'll have a conversation. And I think after she'd done that, we then had our conversation. She was just like, girl, you know what? I'm still annoyed, but I feel way better. And I was like, yeah, because you then, I guess we're so taught as human beings, it's innate for us to be like, this and this and this and this is wrong.
The negative stuff.
But who is telling you what is right?
Yeah.
Because that's also important, and it's
Absolutely.
as loud as the stuff that isn't right. So I think my personal thing for anyone who is listening and who is struggling with their sense of well-being is to do a gratitude note for yourself. Take account and take stock of everything that is working out in your favor and working out for you, and then let's deal with the stuff that isn't. But once you've kind of figured out the stuff that is, you'll be in such a far better mental space. It's worked for me. That's what works for me anyway. What would you say?
I would say figure out what you love to do, and start spending little bits of time doing it. Because the more you spend time doing what you love, the more your brain and your body is going to adjust to that state of doing what you love, and you'll be able to make much better decisions about your life and who you are and what you do on a day-to-day in general. It starts with something really, really small. So if you can just start kind of letting that feeling of what you love, and you in that state, let that overflow through your body, and you will see the way you make decisions will change, what you're thinking about will change, and the gratitude journal. Focus on what you are grateful for, and that really like shifts your perspective as well.
Yeah. I think that's a good place to end.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You happy?
Yeah.
Good.
I really wanted to do something though.
Tell me.
I wanted to do, see, ma'am, can you come closer? That's all I want to see. I don't want to say anything special. Hopefully when I edit it actually happens. Don't leave me hanging, guys.
No,
let it happen.
no. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Okay. Is that all you wanted to do? All you wanted to do is go closer.
I love it when
Please
I see
let's
it on
wrap
TV.
it up. Let's be thinking we're waiting for something special to drop. Okay, come closer. Okay, now we're done.
Yeah.
Right? Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love you.
I love you.
Thank you for joining me. Cheers. Should we do a cheers?
Yeah, let's do a toast.
Love you loads.
Love you.
Cheers to what? Well-being?
To well-being, yeah.
And
and new beginnings.
A new beginnings.
Yeah, cheers.
And being in Westfield. Go check it out.